Lessie Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to one-on-one at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 65 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, a one-on-one with yours truly. So glad to be here for episode 65. And we are getting a little bit closer to 70. It's been a fun season so far. This is, I believe, episode 7 here on the new season, and so today, ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a special guest. I mean, they're all special in my heart, but we got a special guest, especially for those UVA fans out there, because, you know, this guy right here, he's more of a brother to me than a friend. So I'm so super glad to have him on today. None other than my man, Big Law, Lawrence Johnson, the host of 7 City Shop Talk and the brand new host of Locked On Virginia, aka Locked On UVA, baby, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Mr. Lawrence Johnson, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good, my man. What's going on, Darrell? Beautiful Sunday to you.
Man,
yeah.
Glad to have you on, brother. Glad to have you on.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you bringing me in, man. We talked about it for a while. We kind of made this, you made this suggestion, and we kind of talked about it before you even started doing these. Like, man, we got to get on each other's networks.
We got to collab at some point.
Yeah, we got to collaborate. We got to put it together.
Right, we got to put it together, and it finally happened. We were trying to get you on last season. Things didn't work out on my end, but now it's happening. We are here, and it's perfect timing. Why? Because for those UVA fans out there, UVA football is right around the corner, and everything's about to get into a loop. Basketball, next thing you know, it'll be baseball season again. We got all the great UVA sports about to come back up, and I'm just excited. But today we get a chance to learn about the man, the myth, and the legend that is Lawrence Johnson, aka Big Law. And so before we get into all that, ladies and gentlemen, we start off with the check-in. All right, so we're starting off with the check-in. So before we get going, Big Law, we just kind of want to see how things are going with you and your family, how things have been going. Obviously we've had the pandemic the last couple of years, but how things going for you and your family and your friends? How things been?
Everything's going pretty good, man. Family and friends wise, it's how you like when the house fell on the witch and and the Wizard of Oz and or I'll say the Wiz. We'll use the Wiz. And all of a sudden, all the munchkins and all the different folks started coming out like it's sunny outside again. It's starting to really get sunny outside again. I have to say that. I mean, I gotta say, COVID really did a number on us because once you take away sports, you take away everything that's connected to it, every element from the media side. Not only the players aren't playing, the fans can't come. No one is doing anything. We're shut in. We're in the house just trying to survive, this whole pandemic. So now that, everything is starting to open back up and they're starting to give us more access to what we're used to seeing. And, I'm just happy that, that everything's starting to come back to us, the way that we had it before the pandemic.
Yeah, me too, man. It's nice to finally get back to some normalcy. Obviously covering sporting events was rough for people like us. I mean, we didn't get into the end part of that COVID season. They started letting us back in. We got like a couple of games of football in. They sprinkled us into basketball. It was like, thank you. Please, thank you.
Thank you.
And they had just started sprinkling us back in, and now we're kind of like, we had a whole season last year. we're ready for another one this year. It's just a good deal, brother. It's just a good deal.
It really is, man. And it's crazy, when I guess, you guys have been around for about 5 years or so.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've been around for 5 years before that. So it was like there was Mr. Ernest. We
Yep.
had Mr. Ernest, who's the OG brother in the press box at
Right.
UVA. It was just like me, him, and then when you jumped in there, it was like, oh, wait a minute, we were just talking about it earlier. We got to
Yeah.
start our own little coalition. Our
We
own little
we're gonna
group.
have to we gotta create the bond there. Got to get the bond going there.
Yeah, and it was just more like, wow, we had a lot of things in common. We saw things, the same way when it comes to sports, and because when the press box is very, very competitive.
Oh,
It's brutal, man. When you see stuff on TV, or you see, the pictures on TV of a reporter cutting another reporter's throat, like,
they'll do it to you in a heartbeat.
oh man, I'm getting that question. You're not. They'll jump in front of you in a minute.
They'll do it to you in a heartbeat. They do not care.
I'm getting the scoop, not you.
I said this first.
Give me my credit for this.
Exactly.
So yes, it
Exactly.
is brutal. So we found somebody similar to myself, like-minded, spiritually charged, similar to myself. It was just great, to finally meet somebody like yourself, man.
Yeah.
That's why we jive like we do.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because I think we've probably been friends now like about 4 or 5, probably about 4 years. And the time the time went by really fast. And I like I sit back and look at it and say, man, I can't believe we've been friends about at least 4 years. About 2018, that's the first time I entered Virginia press box. So we've been friends for about 4 years. So it's been an honor, man. And I'm just, we've always
Same
been
here.
about pushing each other and seeing each other get to another level, man. And I think we talked on before we got on here about how things are starting to look on the up and up, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah, let's get into a little bit about little Lawrence. I want to talk about 7, 8, 9-year-old Lawrence.
Wow.
Kind of find out where that passion for sports came from. When you were about that age and you said, all right, man, sports is my life, man. Where did that passion for sports came from? When did you know, man, sports is going to be my life?
Let's see here. Growing up, I grew up in an athletic family. Father was an athlete, also was a basketball player. My mother's side, we just had athletes all through Hampton Roads, and part of the family. And it was almost like you almost didn't have a choice. I hate to say it that way,
757, man.
Yeah, you didn't have a choice. I mean, and I talk about my family like my mother and my father. He actually left. So I grew up with my grandmother and my mother for a good deal of my youth, and she made sure that I was doing everything that I was supposed to, kept my nose in the books, but also made sure that I was being athletic and being active. Made sure I was playing football or basketball or running track. Because all of her kids, which are my aunts and uncles and my mother, they all played sports as well. So it was kind of like a family thing, all my cousins, everybody, we just kind of had it. It was almost a rite of passage, that's what you're blessed with. So you're going to have to use it. And a lot of times, that was our way to make a better life for ourselves, So that's where we more or less use that vehicle, the athletic vehicle, to better our lives or just have an opportunity to better yourself. So, growing up, I played flag football all the way to tackle. I was tackling early. I was, I grew, when I was, let me see here. When I was, I guess, Pee Wee football or whatever, I did good in that, but it really hit me when I was in middle school, man. And I was about 5'9", about 200 pounds, and I was a running back. And they were like,
"Oh shoot!"
They were like, "What in the world?" And I had like a beard. I mean, if people go to my Facebook, and you'll see my pictures when I was like a ninth grader, and I got like a beard, like a connected beard. They're like, "That ain't no way."
It's like, man, he's got a grown man out here playing, man. What is this?
Exactly. They're like, "What in the world?" So that really, I started playing running back and linebacker at that age, and it was just a natural transition. And then I was also a championship hurdler believe it or not. And I threw shot put and discus. So, but hurdling was my thing. I used to hurdle 65 meter, 195 meters, and that was my thing just coming up. And I was a city champ in city of Virginia Beach growing up. So yeah, it track,
Just a little
football,
talent. Just a little
yeah,
talent.
yeah. So
Nothing too shabby. Just a little talent going on there.
yeah, you're at the cookouts and it's like, hey man, you barely beat me, or you're not gonna beat my record. And it was like, what? You know what I mean?
The competitiveness. The
Yeah,
competitiveness.
that's right. That's right, man. That's right.
That's that 757, man. That's that bloodline down there. I know
It is, man.
my man Joe Dillon. I know you know Joe Dillon Jr. on
Mm-hmm.
Sports Talk. They breed
No,
athletes from the
no
757.
choice. No choice, brother. It's
No
no
choice
choice.
but to be good from 757. That's why
Yep.
it's so critical to recruit from there. But we'll get into that in just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we got to that point in your life. Take us on the journey on how you decided to become a sports journalist. What gave you the itch to say, all right, man, it's time for me to get into this sports world and become a sports journalist? Where did that come from? How did that happen?
Well, all the way through growing up from middle school, high school, and on, you go to the barbershop. And this is just
Right.
regular, every day, every week. You go into the barbershop, you get your hair cut. Just my culture. We talk sports. We walk in from the minute we walked in the barbershop, it was all about sports. It was all about the game last night, the games to come. So that kind of built my thirst for the banter
Right.
of sports media. Just kind of I kind of had to go back and find out what made me go this route, and it was the camaraderie. In a barbershop, the speaking with everyone who has kind of a like mind, maybe not agreeing with you because they hardly ever do, but
Yeah.
but the mind of let's talk some sports. We all kind of know sports. We all play sports, but let's talk about it. So the barbershop is kind of, I will tell you, was kind of the genesis of when I started really getting into just talking sports, other than just cookouts and family. But
Right.
seriously, dealing in the community and the culture, from a barbershop standpoint. And then, I used to teach and coach at Cox High School. Taught there, taught special education, and I coached football and track there as well. So came from a coaching tree of incredible mentors and coaches. Coach Cadillac, Elijah Harris, down here is a legend. He was the first African American coach in Virginia Beach. I played for him on our team. We played like Plexico Burris, Glenwood Fairby, Terry Franklin, Demick Powers. A lot of my guys who are had Division I true talents, out there that really helped mold and build, and of course all the other folks who came out of the 757. But I come from that coaching tree, and then from that coaching tree there was another coach by the name of Reggie Garrett, who was the offensive coordinator for Cadillac. When they had all these explosive offenses coming out of Green Run. So Reggie Garrett wound up getting a coaching job at Cox High School. That's where I got on, with really just getting into more of the X's and O's from the coach's side. I played linebacker, so I made some calls. I was in it from the player side and learned, but when I got into coaching is when it really kind of a switch just flipped, where, you really see it from all angles. You played it, you've seen it, you're teaching it now. And Reggie Garrett, great coach, great guy. And he really took me under his wing. And I was with him for about 5.5 years. And then I kind of got into the corporate world. I still am in the corporate world, but, started working with a technology company I'm still with to this day. But I still wanted to coach. When you coach, you get that itch. You still want to coach. And you want to coach. And for me, I wanted to coach on a high level. I wanted to coach high-level athletes. So I wound up working with a lot of friends, family, and cousins that started 757 Sports Academy. And those who are in the know will remember the name of the 757 Sports Academy. It was an elite football academy that practiced in the Sportsplex in Virginia Beach. And they are responsible for the likes of Demetrius Nicholson, Smoke Mizell, Quinn Blanding, Andrew Brown, all these guys that went to UVA came out of our sports academy. So that's also a genesis of where, my connection with UVA came. And not to mention, let me go back a little bit, growing up playing football in high school, middle school, or more so high school, we used to take our football camps up in Charlottesville.
Ah,
So during the summer, as an athlete playing for my high school team, we would come up here. And Skeet Jones, I got to throw out people who are historians. They know Skeet Jones came out of Green Run. He was our uh, uh, person, who introduced us to the Wahoo, so to speak, from a direct one-to-one, where he would tell us about the school, being up there and choosing the school and why he chose it. You would see it on TV, but you really didn't have a connection until somebody that you played, in this for the same school that he played for. And then he would come back and speak with us and work with us some. And he was a linebacker, I was a linebacker, and so it really was an experience learning from that standpoint. And then when I became a coach, we started taking our kids. We still continued, in the same program, taking our kids to UVA and coaching, for the summer, for summer football, for summer camp. And we'd have, all these uh, football tournaments together against other schools from all over the state, who would come in. So, that's kind of the affinity, that I get from the program. In addition to, I was just talking about, the football academy, where all of these kids, young men now, some of them still pros that are went to UVA. We just kept training these young men. It was astonishing to the point of how many 4 and 5 star athletes that came out of the football academy. I'm talking within a 4-year period, we probably had 5 to 6 5 stars.
mm,
Maybe another 4 to 5 4 stars, numerous 3 stars and 2 star athletes to come out of there. But the 5 stars, Quinn, Andrew, Smoke, um, Demetrius, and I'm missing one. But we had a whole bunch of kids that came out of there. That came out of our academy that wound up one time we had like 5 or 6 kids playing for University of Virginia on scholarship. So that kind of got me to the point where I was like, wow, going up to the game and the kids started to age out, and now you have all these kids at UVA. I had to figure out, all right, how would I cover the kids? How would I keep up with the
how
kids?
do you stay connected?
And
Right.
and some of the parents are like, well, how are they doing up there? So I was like, well, maybe I should start like a little media company, sports media company, and just start covering them, and just kind of figure out the game, because I really didn't know the media game, just from the jump. So you know how it is, Darrell. When you first
Yeah.
starting it, you have zero cred. Nobody knows who you are. You just, an independent one person, because when we're in the press box, you're in there with ESPN,
Right.
Fox,
Right.
Sporting News, NFL scouts, just all over, just a prestigious place to be. So I wound up going up to our guy Jim Daves.
Love Jim Davis.
Yeah, man,
Shout out
love
to
the
Jim.
dude.
Shout out to
Shout
Jim.
shout out to Jim
Shout out to
Daves.
Jim. Love
Shout
Jim
out to
Davis.
Jim.
You know,
Yes, Jim Days, man. So yeah, I put, I had, called around and tried to figure out, who would I speak with, and they gave me Jim Dave's name. So I called Jim, and I just kind of laid it out to him. I said, hey, I'm from Hampton Roads, 757. I got a lot of kids that, out of the football academy that have gone up there, that's playing with you guys. Love an opportunity to cover UVA football. I have a sports media company. We're small, just myself right now, but love an opportunity to try to cover you. And he said this on the phone to me. He said, that's what I'll do. He said, you won't get Virginia Tech. You won't get North Carolina. You won't get Florida State. I mean, he was going down the line. He said, hey, you won't get this. You won't get that. But he said, this is what I'll do. He said, I'll give you Liberty, William and Mary, um, Richmond. And I was
Richmond.
like, I said, look, I said, Jim, brother, I said, I appreciate this. I said, all I need, I'm just trying to learn. I said, I appreciate the opportunity. So the
Right.
first year, I only got 4 games, 3 or 4 games.
Hmm.
But the big games, wasn't there. But of course, you know the rules are, Darrell. You got to be there 2 hours ahead of time. That's when the media doors open.
Yeah. You got to get there early.
You got to get there early. Number one, to beat traffic. Number two, to do your job properly, because you have to get set up, get your space, get your sound right, get just everything. Get your internet connections, everything you need to do to be a media professional, and figure out what's going on with the players and the coaches, who's hurt on the field, the whole jazz. So and then when you're there. And you're getting ready to work, it's kind of like surreal. You don't even feel like, how it is. You feel like, wow.
You've been doing it, what, 10 years now, right?
Yeah, this is my 10th season.
This is technically my 6th. It'll be 6 years and let me get it correct. 6 years in November, 5 years for the network. I've been announcing games since I was in 10th grade. So it's been 23 years of some type of sports media dream. But it's funny that you say about Jim, because I remember I remember my first conversation with Jim. Now, here's the funny thing. We had already got, at the time, I'm not trying to offend nobody, at the time, the Washington Redskins. We had just got the Redskins. And we'd only been a network for 2 weeks, and we got lucky. And people was like, how'd you get the Redskins? I was like,
right.
Look, I'm still trying to figure out how I got the magic going myself. But I'm going to give a shout out to Tony Wiley, who's the former PR guy there for Washington. He's just an amazing
and
guy,
our girl too. Our girl,
Tish Carmona.
Carmona,
so want to give love to them. They were phenomenal. So got in that way, and then I remember I hit Jim up and I'm like, hey, I told him about Washington. He told me, he said, unfortunately, we don't let independents in. So I was kind of heartbroken, because I'm way more, and this is not to trash the Commanders now, I'm way more of a UVA fan than I am a Commanders fan. Obviously, you can't tell from the green and gold in the back. But I mean, my family are Commanders fans. But I remember, I'm like, man, I was heartbroken. But my opportunity came, same dream, when we were covering Richmond football. And, they were allowing us in to do games. And I asked Richmond, I'm like, if I, put in da-da-da. They was like, yeah, we'll and Richmond kind of helped me get into that door at UVA, which was my heart of hearts. That's what I wanted. Got in there, and it was like, I put in both that game in Miami. That was just out of a whim. I didn't think they were going to give us but they approved us for both. I was like, oh, we got approved for both. So every week after that, I kept putting in the credentials, kept writing Jim. After we got in that first one, and he was like, yep, cool. Got into every game. That whole season, I didn't get into Tech, but I didn't ask, because they were playing Tech on the road that year. So by the next season, bam, I got season credentials. At that time, I'm like, wow, this is great. They had enough faith. And this is just for those people out there that are in the media game and say, oh man, quit. To me, that's one of my stories that don't quit, because I could have easily said, well, they don't want us, so it is what it is. But we persevered, we kept working. Year later, we're in the UVA, and to be honest with you, UVA has been our strongest suit since we've gotten in there.
Same here.
The Commanders. So it's much love to Jim. Just got to throw that out there.
Yeah, much love to Jim, man. And he said, and after the season, I said, hey, I would love to continue doing this. I said, it was great. And I was teaching and coaching kids in high school. I would say, you got to at least, with something called the C rules, meaning you can get a C in class if you do all your homework, stay at the front of the class, don't disrupt, listen to the teacher, follow directions. Right. Okay, same thing with this. Be on time. Actually, be early. Okay,
be early, because you got to get parking. Because
that's right.
I came late one game last year, and I had to walk from the parking lot
down the hill.
I had to walk down the hill around the corner. I'm telling you right now, with all that equipment on my back, I'll never forget that. I learned that law. I was like, never again will I not.
That's right.
And I always came to games early, but that one particular game, I was pushing it, and I was like, man, I even called. I'm like, y'all still got the media bus right there? It was like, no, it stopped after the certain quarter. So I got there like in the second, and it stopped after the first, and I was like, man, it was terrible. But I needed the exercise. So.
We got some stories too, man. When we do volume 2 of this interview, we got some stories that we'll have to
we got
on the viewers and listeners.
We definitely got some stuff on there. But
shout out to Jim.
We can talk forever about this. But I'm gonna move on. Let's talk about some UVA football. Let's get into it. Let's get into the grind here. So obviously, No coach. Coach Mendenhall has decided at the end of last season that was it. There was a lot of turmoil for a little bit, a couple of weeks of like, man, what is next for this team?
Right.
And I don't think I personally ever doubted Carla. This is me personally. I know it's a lot of people was like, what's next? But I never doubted her because she has proven time and time and again, she's been able to just to find the right people. Not saying she's perfect all the time, but she's usually pretty good about it, especially with the bigger programs. So I'm like, all right, well, let's see what happens. And I found out that Tony Elliott is going to be the coach, and I had to do some studying myself. And then when I started looking at his resume, I'm like, it's a pretty good resume. Then he had his first press conference, and I'm like, this guy's intelligent, like super duper intelligent, and we
brilliant. I think the word was brilliant.
Brilliant,
absolutely brilliant is what we use.
Brilliant. And I said to myself, like, man, he just listening to him. I was like, man, I haven't played football since I was little. I was like, I think I'd run through a wall for this man. And so, we got Coach Elliott in here now. What are your thoughts about this 2022 season? What do you, looking into it? Just give me, thoughts, predictions, whatever. What are your thoughts on UVA football heading into 2022?
First of all, I got to give a shout out to Carla. I call people who watch me and listen to me on my shows, I call her the GOAT. I call her Carla the GOAT.
Facts.
Because Carla is doing things at UVA that I don't think any AD at this pace has gotten accomplished. And as far as her, the way the teams are, they're all typically are doing well.
Yep.
Outside of women's basketball, and women's basketball now is on fire.
It's about to change.
Recruiting.
Yes, it's about to change.
It's about to change real fast. Exactly. So I just kind of feel like, and that's her sport. She's a basketball player, by natural trait from athletic trade. She played basketball at Georgia, Carla. So shout out to Carla.
Much
leader.
love to Carla.
Yes, and I think she's the greatest. So, but yeah, for this year, I think that UVA football is going to surprise some people. I think that they think typically when you lose a coach, there's usually a downshift,
right?
That goes on, and your program is going to struggle, and you have to rebuild. You have to totally redo your recruiting and get players in that that'll work with your system,
right?
And everything, offense and defensive sides of the ball, and special teams at that. So I don't think that there's going to be a fall off at all. I think that they upgraded when it comes to the staff, and I'm not knocking Bronco. I like Bronco.
Love Bronco,
I love what Bronco did for the program. He pulled them out of the dungeon,
right,
and made them a reputable, respectable program,
right.
So and they went to a bowl game, won the Coastal.
Yep.
Something they hadn't done
Orange
in
Bowl.
a long time. That's right. Went to the Orange Bowl.
Much love the Bronco.
Yep. And so I got to give him credit for that. But to go to the next level, you kind of have to ramp it up and find someone who can take you to the next level. And when you have a coach like Coach Elliott, who actually has been to 8 ACC championship games,
yep,
something in that realm,
couple
has
national
2
championship,
national, yeah. I mean, 1. He has been to 4,
yeah,
or 5, 4 national championship games.
I think he's went to 4. He's
and won 2.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And ACC championships, he's been to 8 of them, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he lost any. Maybe one, but
maybe one.
Maybe.
But remember we had.
I don't have the stat off top hand, but I'm pretty sure he's won more than he lost. I can promise you that.
We were at the media day, when we had all the coaches at the round table. All the different coaches were at different round tables, and we were talking to all the coaches. And Coach Elliott was at the podium, and then when he got off the podium, I was sitting with Scott German with the Augusta Free Press. Shout out to him and Chris out there, my guys. Mm-hmm. So Scott German and I looking at each other. He goes, "How many rings do you think he has?" And I said, "Well, I think we're really going to have to count here. If you win a national championship, that's 3."
Right.
For 1 year.
Yes. So he's got 6 alone in a couple years.
6 alone in just for national championship years.
Right.
And then you figure, from all the other 5 years or 4 years of, losing. So he's got 2 for 2 more years of losing, in the championship game.
Right.
So you're talking, the man probably has like 8 to 10 rings. He said he has them in a vault somewhere at his house he doesn't even look at. We asked him about it, and he said, "Yeah, I don't even look at those things. The man probably got like 10 rings.
Don't even break my.
You
That's
know?
what happened. Your rocket science.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when people say, I don't know how good he's gonna be, I said, you know what? I said he's doing things that we have no clue of what high success is. High
Right.
success in college football, we have no clue what that is. So whatever he says we need to do, we need to just do it.
Yeah.
Because we have no reference to say otherwise.
The recruiting alone has already gotten better, and
Yeah.
he's going to recruit from the 757. We already know that, but that's very critical. Is
Mm-hmm.
recruiting from that area and stopping those guys from leaving the state and staying here, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of greatness that leaves that state, leaves that part of the state to go elsewhere, and so I got a good feeling about him bringing that back. And just, I talked to him at ACC Media Day. Had a 5-minute interview with him, spoke to him a little bit afterwards, but you just feel smarter around him. When you're talking to him, he has a demeanor and a way about him. You're like, man, this guy right here knows his stuff. Like he had me believe. We haven't even touched the field yet. Like talking about. I mean, we haven't. Richmond is a couple weeks away, and I'm like, man, I got all the confidence in the world. He has not changed my demeanor going into this season. I'm like, yeah, let's go. He got me hyped. I'm like, let's do this. Come on, coach, let's go.
I mean, I want to give a prediction, but I'm not. I'm going to hold off.
Let's do
on
that.
a prediction.
Let's hold off on that.
We're going to hold off on it. Let's get out of fall camp, see who's healthy, see how everybody's doing, and then maybe we'll give a prediction. I will give a prediction. Maybe we'll do it on the show together, or however.
Right.
Maybe I'll get you a link in on the show. But yeah, I'm definitely going to. I feel like it's going to be an even better year. They only won 6 games last year. Probably should have won 8.
Definitely should have won 8 at least.
I'm not gonna say the number, but I think that we're somewhere in that range, if not better. Based off of what I see him doing.
I'll give a range. I'll say anywhere from 8 to 10. Mm-hmm. That's just my personal range. And people's like, well, what are you talking about? Well, for me, I will say I think the ACC is kind of wide open this year. There's no guarantee on who's going to win the conference. Obviously, automatically people are going to say Clemson because of the experience and that and what the recruits they get. But or maybe even I guess Wake Forest because of the year they had last year. But
they lost their quarterback.
They lost their quarterback is out.
Though.
And that's a huge loss. I mean, NC State has the young man Riley, I believe. I could be saying last name, but they're really good at quarterback in the ACC this year. So, but people tend to forget is that we have a top 5 passing quarterback in the nation, and most of the part last year led the nation in passing yards, and he was top 5 in touchdowns for the majority of the season.
And the top 3 wide receiving core in the nation. I don't care what anybody says.
The receiving core is dangerous. They got they may low key have the best receiving core in the ACC with Thompson, with Billy, with
I think they do. You got Teton Thompson, you got Wicks, you got Davis.
Yep,
Davis. You got.
I always forget about Davis because we missed that year of having Davis. They got 4 guys, and that I'm not excluding the other because there's some young guns that come in, but they got 4
Starling
guys that can come in there and like Brennan can close his eyes and throw the football. Especially when Davis is around, he's 6'7", just tossing and close his eyes, tossing in the back of the end zone, see what happens.
That's right.
It's a lot of optimism. They're going to run the ball a little bit more this year than they've done in the last couple of years. We know that, and so but the biggest thing, and I think you would agree with this, is how improved that defense is going to be, or what it needs to be. Because if and I don't know if you would agree with me on this, but if that defense last year was not, if they were middle of the pack, and I mean in the country middle of the pack, because I mean there's 129 teams. If they were
3 more games,
yeah, you win at least 3 more games easily.
3 more games,
yeah. And so you look at it, we were 121 last year out of 129. That's tough. If we were in the 70s, we're a way different team. Different team if we're in the 70s.
That's right.
I know that sounds crazy, but just getting them into that range this year will be a huge improvement because the offense, maybe other than the offensive line, being makeshift because they're going to just like 5 new guys on there. They should be golden, right?
Well, Coach Rosinski is a mastermind when it comes to calling defenses. He was at Air Force for a long time, and has had a top 10 defense for the past 3 or 4 years. at Air Force,
Mhm.
and he's bringing that same philosophy to UVA, and it's more of a multiple kind of a set. We try to ask him, what kind of like base, every. The questions are, what's your base defense or what's your base offense?
Right.
He's just kind of like, it's multiple, it's personnel based, he's really holding it tight to the vest
Hold it
as far
tight,
as
coach.
as far as
Hold it
what
tight,
we'll
coach.
as far as what we'll see come game day, come when it's time for these games to start counting. So I really am excited about what he can do with this talent here at UVA. In the Air Force, they were stout. They were attacking, and they were just there was superior defense that they were playing out there in the West. So I'm excited to see what we can do. From the defensive side as well. He has some talent. Got Nick Jackson coming back. Is on
Yes.
the Buckets Award winner, or excuse me, preseason Buckets Award watch. There's just a plethora of talent. Then when
So
he
much talent.
recruited three other defensive ends that have come in, transfers that have come in to help out the team as well. So, or four actually, yeah. So it's going to be a different year for us.
Excited. Can't wait. Can't wait. September 3rd can't come fast enough. 12:30 for those out there that don't know. 12:30. I will be there at 9. Or I'll be hitting the road at least 9. I'll be there by 10. You know how it is. Got to be there 2 hours
Oh
before.
man, oh man.
Got to be there.
I'm there
Yeah,
that
already
early.
got to be super. I know you'll probably be there super early for tailgate purposes. So
Ain't no
if
doubt
you ain't
about
already
it.
in Charlottesville that night,
I'm gonna be there. Look, I'm gonna be there. You gotta be. You gotta be.
yeah,
And we can talk a little bit about that too, a little bit if you want. But yeah, I've ingratiated myself to the Charlottesville culture and the
Mhm.
grounds of the University of Virginia. I do the tailgate challenge. It'll be my third year of doing this, and the fans seem to love it. I go to the tailgates. It's a judging competition. We judge the cuisine, the drinks, the noise, the decorations, everything about the tailgate, and then and that's every home game. I go to a different one, and then we give a prize at the end for the best tailgate. And I give away a trophy as well. So it get darn right competitive out there, man, and it's fun because once you decide what tailgate you go to, they're waiting for you to walk up and let's get this party started.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I just can't wait for UVA football to start. So
hmm
let's go ahead and get to our next segment here. And ladies
hmm
and gentlemen, it is time for my favorite segment. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the Lawrence Johnson, aka Big Law, edition
Hey.
of Quick Ones here on the Legacy Makers Sports Network here on 101. Now, for those who don't know, the way Quick Ones work is I'm going to give Lawrence something, a quick little topic here, and I'm just kind of interested to hear what he's got to say for him, and then we got a couple of standard ones, and then we got a couple of ones that are a little bit different than normal. So let's go ahead and get into quick ones, and let me go ahead and start off with the most standard one of all:
hmm
your favorite sports moment.
Uh, Favorite sports moment. That's a real good one. My favorite
Tough one.
sports moment is probably, and maybe because it's just still fresh in my mind, is when UVA won the national championship in
Yeah,
basketball.
yeah,
That was
yeah. It was a good
that
day,
was
good
that
time.
was unreal because I was more than just a fan, watching the basketball team, but I'm part of the media.
You're there. You're there,
And we report on this stuff.
man.
So, to take yourself out of the reporting the working side and be like, "Oh my goodness, they're about to win a national championship."
Right, right.
And then all the games leading up to it were, nail biters. So that little era, and this is just because maybe it's just fresher in my mind,
Right.
was UVA winning the championship and for NCAA basketball championship, March Madness.
Yeah, that was. You know, I'll go back and look at the pictures that I took that year. I was still learning picture game. Like it was my first year. No, it was my second year of doing UVA games on
hmm
the floor the year they won the national championship. And I said to myself, like, how did I get here? I know how I got there, but when you think about when they won the national championship, I remember sitting in my living room and I said, wow, I sat there all season long, and I got an opportunity to take photos and take pictures of these great moments, and it's just like it's crazy. It's
Was that
crazy.
the same year that LeBron came and Zion was playing?
Yes,
And you and I were on the floor.
we were looking
On
for
the,
LeBron.
look. We're sitting. No, we're standing right there on the baseline, opposite of the football. I mean, of the basketball team, and Grant Hill walks by.
Grant Hill
You
walks
remember
by
that?
first. Yep,
Grant Hill walks by. We're like, oh crap, that's
that's
Grant
Grant. That's
Hill.
Grant
You're
Hill.
right. Yeah, and then you look to the right and you see Rondo
Right.
sitting like 4 seats over from us. I'm like, oh wow, this is when Rondo was playing for the Lakers. This is the year they won the championship.
Yep. Yeah, they won the championship.
And then you see LeBron kind of come in incognito, and then
But
he kind of like appears. It's like, oh wow, okay,
the,
that's
the
LeBron. It's
best
like
part about
he's
that,
like 4 seats over. I was like,
remember we were sitting, we were walking, doing the loop around. Went to the shop, and that's when the guy was like, LeBron in the building. LeBron who?
no, you
He was like,
mean we
LeBron
were
who?
checking in?
Yeah,
we
we're
were
doing the
checking
check-in.
in.
And I said, wait a minute, LeBron
No,
who?
hold on, Darrell. Let me get it right. He goes, you know he's here, right? That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Like,
goes, you know
like,
he's here, right? Who are you talking about? Him. Who's him?
Who's him?
LeBron. Like, what are you talking about, man? Yeah, there's a secret way to get into the JPJ, the basketball stadium,
Mhm.
on the grounds of UVA, and maybe he came in some way, kind of like how the president would come into the White House and leave.
Right.
It's kind of like that. So he came into some kind of secret tunnel, drove in, and they said he's here. And he's in the stadium.
We
We
looked
were
for
like,
him for like
where
30
is-
minutes.
Yeah,
We looked at him for 30 minutes, and he ended up being right beside us. It was the
Yeah,
craziest thing. Like
that's
we
the crazy
were
thing.
all around the building, like, yo, I remember I went live. I'm like, yo, LeBron's in the building, just don't know where he is. We're trying to find him. It was like Waldo. And then come to
Yeah.
find out we sitting on the baseline. I turned to my right, and there he is.
There
So
he
look at
is.
there.
And what's crazy about it is when that was the Zion year, it was so packed. See, the one thing about media when you're independent, like Darrell and myself, we don't get like priority when it's like a huge game. Now we
Right.
can come and we can cover it, but as far as like our designated seats that we have, this goes for every press box, whether it's pros,
Right.
college, or whatever. If you're an independent, if ESPN says I want to send 10 guys.
ESPN is going to get their 10 guys.
ESPN is going to get their 10 guys.
ESPN's gonna get
Nobody,
their 10 guys.
yeah, Darrell, Legacy in 7 cities is going to be standing
Raptors,
and
like.
covering. Exactly. So, and I understand that, So that's what happens whenever you get those games like that. And you and I were on the baseline,
Man, I was
covering it.
till this day blessed because I remember them telling me beforehand, it's like, you may not get a guaranteed seat on the floor. And I'm like, all right, well, it's all good. So I pulled up there with just a hope and a dream. And they said, yeah, we got a spot for you. And they had me sitting right underneath the basket.
That's right.
And I just remember like Zion, like this is the one game that Duke decides they're not going to miss threes. And they were like one of the
That's
worst.
right.
They were one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league that year. But that one game against us, they wouldn't stop making them. But I just remember like sitting there thinking to myself, like, these guys are going to be in the league, man. And like, it was like at least in that game, there's 6 or 7 guys that are in the NBA now.
At least you got to figure 4.
Diakite,
Yeah, Diakite, Cal Guy, Ty Jerome, and Braxton Key.
Yeah, Braxton Key. And so
Braxton
like
Key.
so Virginia had like 5 or 6 guys. Duke had like 5 or 6 guys. RJ Barrett was there. Jones. They're like, and so right. we were at a game where we were blessed to see tons of NBA talent play against each other in a crazy. I remember the cold chills, the block that Zion got against Hunter. The crowd was like, oh, I mean, the energy in there was different. Probably
I'd never seen it. I never seen it like that, man.
I tell people that like I've been to pro games. I've been to pro games. The energy in that crowd that night, nothing has topped it yet. The energy, I'm getting cold chills talking about it now.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm
like,
man, the noise, the intensity, the ferocity of the crowd towards Duke. I had never seen that in the JP. Even though the JPJ is one of the top college stadiums in the nation, that game against Duke with Zion and all them there,
crazy.
It was unreal. And that was the year they wound up winning it all. We had a championship team then. I don't know.
And we got to cover them. That's the part that
we got to cover them.
And we got to cover them. Next one on quick ones. Worst sports moment.
Worst sports moment. One of the worst sports moment has to do with the Commanders. slash Redskins. It hasn't been something like that. There's so many debacles, with that team. Of course, I am a Commander fan, and I don't know, man. It's terrible. Maybe the Mark Sanchez playing, for
Oh,
them,
I
and
remember that. Oh,
it
I
was
was
just
there for that.
bad.
Ugh.
Just some of this bad football. But for right now, it's got to be something like that, where the Commanders are just spiraling down, and I can't defend myself.
Can't say nothing. You're like,
I
well,
can't say
you
anything.
ain't wrong. Like, you be like, yeah, well, you ain't
Yeah,
wrong, man. Like,
and I
whatever.
just gotta walk into this barbershop and just take my lumps, and wherever I go, everybody knows I'm in the meeting. They knows I'm a Commander fan. They're like, oh man, your team is terrible, and I can't say
Like,
anything. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, you're
Just
right, man.
just rub it in. Just rub it in.
That's right. That's right.
Oh man. Favorite athlete growing up?
My favorite athlete, basketball. Well, actually, overall, believe it or
Mhm.
not, is Charles Barkley.
I
I'm
can
a
I can deal with
huge,
Charles Barkley. I can
I'm a
deal with
huge
Charles.
Charles Barkley fan, man. And then it kind of migrated to AI because I like the Sixers, and that was kind of like my team. From a football standpoint, um, it's difficult. I like Darrell Green.
I knew it. I knew it.
It,
I said,
it
"What
had
you
to
said,
be.
Darrell Green?" I
It
was
had to
sitting
be.
there waiting for it.
I had to be like Darrell Green growing up. That was my guy. Um, you had John Riggins and folks, that were um, more Washington football teams, Redskins related is
Right.
what I was more my favorite players. But they went through they cycled so many good players through there. It's and those
It's
teams were
tough.
good in the '80s, so it was just difficult. So and that's what I'm trying to equate it to, like '80s, you know. Late '80s, early '80s football, baseball, and basketball. And Cal Ripken is my favorite baseball player,
I like that.
or
Cal, I mean, you can't go
Orioles
wrong
guy.
with Cal.
Yep,
Can't go wrong with Cal.
that's right.
You spoke of Commanders, so real quick thoughts
Hmm.
on the Commanders. What are your quick thoughts on Washington this year?
All right. Watched the preseason game yesterday.
Hmm.
Semi disappointed a little bit, but then again, when I come off and look at it from above, I'm okay with it because really, only person I'm really disappointed in is Antonio putting the ball on the ground.
Yeah, that was tough. There was some
That,
boy, the media man. That media room yesterday. Oh, I can't tell you the things I heard
they're
in the
burning him
media room
up.
yesterday.
They had to been burning him up, man.
Oh, they were
But
letting him have it. He
but
should
for
get
me,
cut. That's
oh
what it was.
wow,
I was
okay.
hearing stuff like that. I was
Oh
like, dang,
wow.
they are ruthless up here.
No, they're down. No, he has the ability to be a supreme talent in the league, but he can't put the ball on the carpet. He's got to
No, can't
hold the
do that.
ball. He can't fumble it. But the way I think about the team, I feel like it's a work in progress. I think they're gonna take a step, but they have to have everybody healthy. That's meaning Chase Young. That's meaning the quarterback's gonna have to stay upright. That means Antonio and Curtis Samuel need to stay healthy.
Right.
All the players need to stay healthy in order for them to take a jump. I think the Eagles are going to be better than what a lot of people think. I think the Cowboys may take a little bit of a step back, which means that all three of those teams, Commanders, Eagles, and
Cowboys.
Cowboys, are going to kind of be, fighting for that top spot. So I think they're going to surprise some people.
Yeah. The Giants are the only one in the teams in the division that haven't won a division title in the last 10 years. Washington's won 3, Philadelphia's won 3, and the Cowboys have won the other 4. So
Well, you think about it like this: the Giants may wind up winning it because they have not had the same winner of the NFC East since, was it? Has it been 10 years?
no
15
one's
years?
won it back to back in like 12 years.
There you
It's been
go.
a long time since somebody won it back to back. No, so like if
Right.
that's the case, that spells bad news for Dallas.
That's right.
And so that means the other team should be chomping at the bit. They should be
That's
chomping
right.
at the bit. Next one on quick ones. 3 greatest UVA athletes of all time, in your opinion. Oh, I know.
Great
Tough one.
question.
And this is
That's
all
a real
across the
tough
board
one.
here. Top 3.
Wow.
I knew I was gonna
I
get
think
you on
it's
this.
blasphemy to not say Ralph.
Yeah, you gotta throw
You know, you
Ralph in
got
there.
you got to throw Ralph in there, and I'm basing this based off of what I've seen.
Okay.
Some of the other players that like Barry Parkhill, they said he was amazing, and some of the other players, but I'm gonna go with like Herman Moore.
Herman. Okay, solid.
was amazing. Just watching him as a youngster and just watching him just beat receivers. And I got to throw in there like Thomas Jones.
Ooh, TJ. Yeah.
Thomas Jones
Thomas
was
Jones was tough.
incredible, man. Thomas Jones was an awesome guy to watch, man. I mean, I guess I could pull some of the newer folks out, but if I'm just going like off of memory and from just what I remember, I
Mm-hmm.
know Ralph, and I was a big Junior Burrow fan too, but
Junior Burrow. Yep.
but I'm gonna say Ralph. I'm gonna say Thomas Jones, and who did I say?
So
And
he said Thomas Jones, Ralph, and then Herman Moore.
Herman Moore. Yeah.
This is a good line. I'm not gonna give mine completely, but my favorite basketball player growing up was Corey Alexander. He was like the one that I first remember like being a huge fan of when I was growing up. A UGA fan. Oh, and Don Staley. Got to throw Don Staley out there.
Oh,
Don Staley, those two
yeah.
alone for me was like, yeah. And then obviously you got Ralph and you got Herman and we can go on and on. I remember I don't maybe not being the biggest fan or maybe the greatest, but Chris Slade was a guy that I remember looking up to.
Yeah.
I remember it was just there's so many great ones. I know it's tough to pick three, but I picked your brain a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
All right, last one on quick ones. Here's the fun one. And when I say this, it does not have to be alcoholic. What is your go-to beverage?
My go-to beverage
doesn't have to be alcoholic. It could be anything. What's your go-to beverage?
My go-to beverage is Dole pineapple juice with Sprite. Mix it with Sprite. Bro.
Okay.
Hey man, go-to.
I'm not mad at that.
That's my it's good, man. Just some Sprite and some pineapple juice. Mix it together. Good stuff.
I love that answer because people are gonna be Crown Royal. So no. That's a solid answer. Mine's, and I'll just throw it in there, is cream soda.
Oh man,
I love cream soda. Cream soda is probably my favorite beverage. It's something about it. It's just so smooth. I just love cream soda, so I'm gonna go cream soda on mine. All right, everybody. That was the Quick Ones edition, the Lawrence Johnson Quick Ones edition here on the one-on-one, and we're gonna finish this thing off right. And we need Lawrence to do what we like to call leave your legacy. First of all, Big Law, we want to appreciate you for coming on to one-on-one.
My pleasure.
We got a chance to get this thing done, so I want to thank you for taking the time out to spend an hour with me and talk some UVA and just talk sports in general and to get people a chance to learn a little bit more about Lawrence Johnson. So first of all, I appreciate you for that, brother.
Absolutely, thank you for having me, brother. It was a long time coming. You and I talked about. And then we'll continue to collab. We'll talk about our secret society. We trying to build our coalition.
Yes, secret society, baby. That's right.
that we'll put together. Sometime soon here. With all of our other independent media folks. So yeah, but I just appreciate you having me, man. And it's just good to see, all of us grow. We all kind of came up the same way, working in the same field, working in the same school, and then all of a sudden, it's kind of cool to just kind of see us do well, or starting to come up.
Just a little bit. Booming just a little bit.
That's right.
And so with all that being said, I want you to leave your legacy, man. Any special projects you got going on you want to talk about, please do so at this time, my man. And then of course, the question is, when it's all said and done and you hang up your microphone, what type of legacy do you want to leave in the sports journalism world?
Well, the sports journalism world for me has always been like educational. I kind of still have that in my blood, where to teach and to coach. Starting to and trying to work on some things when it comes to media and the youth. And I kind of put it there and leave it there, that I'm working on something like that, where I want to be able to work with youth media, teaching them kind of like how we came up, and I'll give you kind of like my elevator speech that I would give someone in Shark Tank. I would say, I played sports, and I was all right. Maybe I would have had a chance to go, some of the higher levels, but I got injured, like most of us do. The percentage of making it on the big stage is very rare, but there is a $1 billion industry putting on a product for us to enjoy on television. and that is the media world. Now, when we're talking media, we're talking broadcasters, we're talking cameramen, we're talking announcers, we're talking reporters, we're talking. I mean, it is a vast world. Statisticians. You
Yep.
could do almost
Graphic
anything.
designers, so
Graphic
on. Yep.
designers. You
Yep.
could almost do anything that you want in the media world based off of where you fit from a personality standpoint. You may be more of an outgoing person. You may
Right.
be more of a internal person. You can do whatever you want for this billion-dollar industry that's putting on a project, a product that and a project that we can watch and enjoy. So what I want to say to the youth is there is an opportunity out there for you to learn some of these things the way that I kind of learned it from the ground up. So trying to work with the youth on sports media, here in the state of Virginia. That's kind of the legacy that I want, and maybe partner with some folks on that. And people can all give me a ring if you got some ideas. Let's talk, because that's kind of like my passion to continue to teach and to help the youth learn about sports media. You could still be a part of the game without being on the gridiron or being on the court.
This is true.
Be totally
you can still be a
involved.
party.
So don't think your dream is over just because you didn't make it. You didn't make it into the big time and make it into the league.
No, that's true. You can always do a little something on that front. So never give up on that dream, ladies and gentlemen. Never give up on that. Big Law, let them know where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, you guys will be able to find me on Facebook, on Instagram. Just look for my name, Lawrence Johnson. Also, you can catch me every Monday / Tuesday on Facebook, doing my show, Seven City Shop Talk Sports Show with some of my hosts. Got a shout out to Ed, Tom, AB. Shout out to Ethan, and shout out to my guy Chad, Tom, everybody who has supported me and been with me there. We're on our way, and they are always there to do these shows. But yeah, they can also catch me coming to a device, meaning tablet, computer, iPhone, anywhere, coming to you soon. I will be the host of Locked On Virginia through the Locked On sports media company. So it's gonna be cool, man. I'm signed on and ready to go. I'll be on every day, doing the show for you guys through Locked On. So you'll be able to catch me there as well.
Well, super proud of you, brother. I don't
Appreciate
just
it,
say
man.
that just to be saying that. I mean, in the time that I've known you, I know you're one of the hardest working men in this industry. So, and that, especially being in the independent front, sometimes we can get a bad rap because some people don't do it the right way, but you do it the right way, brother. So much love to you.
Hampton Roads too. I drive from Hampton Roads to Charlottesville. Let's
You
go.
sure do. And that's
You know what I
I mean, it's
mean?
only an hour for me. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, hour 15 from my house. You looking at a strong 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Strong
you looking
3.
at a strong 3.
Yes,
Strong
sir.
3.
That's right. So I'm doing it, for Hampton Roads as well.
Right.
UVA
Exactly.
coverage. Yep.
Well, everybody, look, real quick, want to give y'all a quick update for next week's show. Next week, I got my girl, Ashley Baker, coming on. She's the host of About Nothing But Sports Podcast and Sports Out the Dark on Twitter. Ashley is one of the up-and-coming, journalists in the game. She has grown her brand tremendously over the last couple of years. And she's just amazing. I mean, and you talking about somebody who just knows her stuff. Ashley knows her stuff. Ashley will be on here for episode 66 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. All right, everybody. I'm your man, Darrell Owens. I want to thank you all once again for tuning in for 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Once again, Lawrence, I appreciate you, brother. I love you, man, and thank you for coming on.
Love you too, brother. I appreciate you having me on, and we got volume 2 coming soon, so everybody just keep paying attention. It only gets bigger from here.
Yeah, that's right. Be ready. Once again, everybody,
right.
Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the